yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. CAVIL, you know what he be talking about. Talking Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. CAVIL with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington's out on assignment. We have AD Drew as he's talking about the lights and everything, making sure we look good on the set here as we are live in Atlanta, obviously, for the SWAC 2025, I should say, SWAC Basketball Tournament. With that being said, welcome to episode 636 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab and radio show and podcast, a show that is covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it the HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my sidekicks, if you would. Usually Charles Mike, he's out, but I have none other than Charles Bishop, as I said, AD Drew. Bring you live. We're going to give you a live broadcast here. We're filming from our home studios, as we sometimes do, but actually this time we're live.
Coming live, exactly. Can't be live.
I'm closest to home.
I'm so AD Drew's home.
20 minutes.
As we are doing our show live, so we bumped it back a little bit so we make sure we can get you in here and get us a show. With that being said, as I like to do, Charles, how are you doing?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. I mean, it's been a lot of basketball today, a lot of fun stuff watching today. I mean, it's March Madness. This is what it's about, tournament time.
And AD Drew?
Well, for me, my brothers, this is week 2 for me, as we hosted the SIAC over at Morehouse last week. So, I am definitely enjoying my fix of basketball for the year. So it's been enjoyable here at the Gateway Center, and my bracket has been busted left, right, side to side.
Who's the first to bust your bracket?
Huh?
Who's the first to bust your bracket?
Oh hell, the first game of the day, the women's game. I mean, when Prairie View won, the women's bracket was busted.
Yeah,
and then
Charles might have had the only bracket that's still working. He cheat coded a little bit.
I think on Tuesday, I was 1 for 4.
Wow.
I lost Prairie View. Whoa. Let me back that up. Wait, but who? I think I was 0 for 4 because Alabama A&M lost. I was 0 for 4 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I lost all 4 games. So my bracket was in the garbage too.
Yeah, Alabama A&M winning on the men's side.
Wait, they had
A&M didn't make the tournament.
Okay, okay.
On the men's, he's talking about the women's side.
Oh, the women's side. Okay.
Yeah.
Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sponsors in sporting and educational consulting, as well as data analytics. In terms of the print, I don't know. Back in the day, I could read that real clear. Now, a couple of days on me, I struggled through it, but I got it. It's a little far from us. Next time, I might just use the phone. With that being said, I wanted to test myself out. I thought I did pretty good there. But we have a final here. Obviously, Jackson State wins it by 10 over Grambling. Grambling made it close, a little interesting late. Got it within a three-pointer to do it at a timeout. Jackson State responded. We saw that earlier with Texas Southern and Alabama State. Alabama State responded after Texas Southern got it close. But this is intriguing me. We got Jackson State in the semifinals, both men's and women's. That's 2 years in a row, at least I know.
Yeah.
They did it last year.
Yeah.
Not many programs are able to say that.
Yeah, not too many programs able to say that. And kudos to Margaret Richards and her staff for getting to the semifinals. And, we were talking with Ashley yesterday. That's a roster of 15 new players. And for them to do as well as they've done the course of this season, for them to gel the way they have and to get a win here in the tournament, that's huge for a program starting out.
Yeah, any thoughts in terms of seeing two teams in the semifinals? Obviously, in the MEAC, you got Norfolk State, both men's and women's getting it done in terms of their semifinals. Now in the SWAC, you have Jackson State, both men's and women's in the semifinals.
And that Alcorn is the only team that's around that may have a chance to join them. Correct me if I'm wrong, because Bethune's women are already out. Bethune is getting ready to play, so Alcorn can join Jackson State as having 2-4. But
that ought to gin up the fan base, Jackson State's fan base, and Alcorn's fan base. They ought to get out here. So,
but then in the MEAC, Howard is losing late 4:43 left, so they're making it highly unlikely that Howard will have two teams in the semifinals. The women getting there, but their men are struggling as they've done this season. And Morgan State looks like they're going to take it to Howard. They're up 80-69 with 4:36 left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the one thing about it, both of Jackson State's teams were expected to be at that level tomorrow, where if Alcorn gets there, it will technically be two upsets.
Yeah.
As they were the lower seed in the women's game and on the lower seed in this men's game also.
Big shocker this morning. Big shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good point. But let's get into it. What are some news that's hot on your mind in terms of the day? Obviously, a lot of it is basketball related, and you kind of started off and did a little head started in terms of the bracket busters. But outside of that, what's your biggest news of either the SWAC, MEAC tournament thus far?
To me, the biggest story today is Alabama A&M losing. When you take a look at Alcorn knocking them off early this morning, I think that was huge. You're talking about a 21-win team coming into that game. And then I had jotted in my notes, these are Nate Kilbert type games where, it's a little sloppy, there's a lot of turnovers. And what stood out for me is they just stayed within range. They stayed within range.
Perfect way to put it.
And then all of a sudden, that momentum shift down the end, and Alcorn was able to pull it out. But Destiny Brown, another huge game. She could be a huge factor. I don't care who Alcorn is playing because she's such a force in the middle. Soft hands, catches the ball well, finishes, and then plays lockdown defense.
What surprised me about her, we think about her from a defensive perspective, not necessarily offense, but she had a huge offensive game today that really was the impetus of that comeback in the finish. Obviously, left the door slightly open, missing those free throws late, but she did so much work when that ball went off the rim there. It was enough to get it done. One more before I go to you, Drew, in terms of the same type of question in terms of your biggest shocker. I have to ask you this. Southern upset with Grambling defeating Southern on the men's side, or Alabama A&M losing to Alcorn? Which one was the bigger upset?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm going to go probably Southern's men. That Alabama A&M, that's a huge loss, but the men's top seed.
Number seed, I thought you would go there. Would be fair, but I got to ask you. My job is to ask tough questions.
Right. Got to be Southern on that.
80. What's the biggest HBCU news of the day? You sticking SWAC or you going MEAC?
Actually, I want to do two quick comments. Number one thing we need to keep an eye on at the end of the game during the celebration post game. Destiny Brown was down on the floor with an injury. Looked like maybe she rolled her ankle or some type of lower body injury.
Oh, it wasn't Destiny Brown.
That was not Destiny.
No, that was another player. That was not Destiny Brown.
Okay, it looked like Destiny Brown.
Chisholm, yes.
Okay, but even still, this time of the year, one of your
frontline
players.
Because Chisholm had a big defensive stand late in the game too.
Consider you're going to have 44 hours or less of recovery. Is huge this time of the year. Although we broke this here earlier today on the BCSN Game Time, the Welcome Home HBCU Welcome Home Tour tournament, the HBCU alumni tournament that athletic director Cromartie Stan Cromartie announced it's going to go on in Orlando over the Memorial Day weekend. You got to go back and watch the show, Charles. You're looking at me crazy. Like,
I know, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm like, that was news to me. Okay.
Yeah. But so go back and watch the previous edition of the BCSN Game Time show to get all the details. But I'm going to go off the beaten path, as you know I do, Dr. Kavir. I've got to give the small school love and remind everybody that NAIA will open up on tomorrow. And what a day of action tomorrow will be. Not only will we have the SWAC semifinals, men and women, the BAC semifinals, men and women. You've got A&T's women playing tomorrow, along with all the NAIA institutions. So get the iPads, the cell phones, the laptops, the desktops, the Roku TVs, the Fire TV, the Amazon Fire.
So when
TV.
did NCAA Division II start?
Oh, and D2 starts.
Oh God!
Also.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is going to be a flipping day on whatever devices that you have. You know, this is one of them days. Yeah, they talk about the first next weekend on Thursday and Friday where everybody always takes off work. But you're an HBCU fan, I think you want to get that other day in tomorrow to catch you some good HBCU action all over the place all day long.
Good stuff. Let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side, get back into it. Might have some discussion on the poll ranking since you didn't get to give me that, your thoughts. So I'll share that with you as we see Roy getting a little cool in here, because it is a little cool. He's found his way to hustle up on a SWAC hoodie, if you would. And it looks nice. It looks nice. He wears it well. So shout out to him with that. Well, we're going to go our first break and come back on the other side.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab with AD and Charles. Charles went in there to do maybe a quick interview update as he's talking about, so he'll be able to give you maybe some quotes as he gets back into it. I wanted to make sure you can keep you up to date and inside, but we want to talk a little bit about the poll rankings. Released them on Tuesday, and I want to get your thoughts in terms of what may change thus far. I know we still have some games left, and things will play out in the tournament. But as things stood this week on the women's side, as it looks there, I'm looking at the men, but we're going to put up the women. So let me make sure I get that to you as I discuss it there. As we look at it, going forward, we had a top 5 on the women's side. I want to give it to everybody there. Top 5 was number 5, Texas Southern Tigers. They're still alive in the tournament. You got number 4, Alabama A&M Bulldogs. We already talked about that they're going home.
Spring break.
Number 3, Southern Jaguars.
Spring break.
Number 2, North Carolina. Well, that's actually the women's. Women's is still alive.
Yeah, I thought we
Southern.
was on the women.
Yeah. So Southern Jaguars is still alive.
Oh,
the
yeah.
men, they get
The men on spring break. My bad.
who were the former number 1. So when we get to men, it really get interesting in terms of who's going to be your new number 1.
Yeah.
And number 2, North Carolina A&T Aggies. They still in it.
Still to play.
And number 1, Norfolk State Spartans. They are still playing. So go ahead and give me your thoughts in terms of what type of changes you expect going into next week based on halfway, as you said earlier today, a little more than halfway of the tournaments are done.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at your receiving votes. You had Howard essentially at 6, Jackson State 7, Grambling State 8, Coppin 9, Maryland Eastern Shore 10. Don't remember if Coppin won. I know Grambling is lost. Maryland Eastern Shore has lost. Looks like Jackson State may be the only one in that bottom. Howard's women won, correct?
Correct.
So Howard and Jackson State will be fighting for that spot that A&M may be losing. It's just that simple. But it's tournament time, Dr. Cavill. Things change. Teams that aren't supposed to be there wind up being there, and there's always somebody who busts the bracket, like your alma mater at Prairie View A&M.
Right, and they really
Valley
did their part
over FAMU.
Really did their part. So you're saying if Howard continues to win, do they have to win to get in the finals, or have they done enough, in your opinion, to jump in the poll based on the early exit of Alabama A&M? Even though Alabama A&M has had a great season, 20-plus wins, 14-4. Where are you going with that?
One of those two will have to pick up at least one other win to either Jackson State or Howard, in my opinion, need to pick up another win to vault, because 1, 2, and 3 are going to stay there. The order may switch, but the teams that are 1, 2, and 3 right now will remain in the top 5. It's just going to be a matter of where when this tournament is done. Texas Southern has picked up a win, so if anything, Texas Southern at least moves up to 4 as of right now. Depending on what they continue to do, they may bump up to 3 or 2. So there's one slot available, and right now it's Alabama A&M slot. Another win by either Jackson State and or Howard definitely solidifies them to finish in the top 5, Dr. Cavill.
I like that. My question now, let's turn it Black College Championship Invitational. This could be a really nice get for them if Alabama A&M is one of their teams that are evaluating, and if they get the invitation, obviously have to accept it. Then what's going on there in terms of your news there? So with that being said, any thoughts on that?
I mean, you got Alabama A&M. You've got your alma mater. You got where you work at, Texas Southern, who's also a good get. Jackson State Southern. I mean, anyone.
No, I'm just saying, since A&M is out already.
A&M is out, but any one of them other 4, any one of those other 3, whoever is not the winner is going to be. We know how Jackson State likes to travel, so Jackson State definitely is going to be a good team. Alabama A&M is a great team, and I think they're going to be a team with a chip on their shoulder should they accept the invitation to the BCIC.
Charles, we're talking about the top 5. Texas Southern, women 5. Number 4, Alabama A&M. We talked about that for their exit. Then you have Southern Jaguars at number 3. You have number 2, North Carolina A&T and Norfolk State. They're all still playing. Just outside of that is Howard in terms of the top 5, if you would, receiving votes, as well as Jackson State. I know it's still early. You might want to see a little work. Yeah. Any of those teams you see jumping up and replacing Alabama A&M, have they done enough this far, or do you need to see Howard, Alabama A&M win one more before you would bump them out?
I probably would need to see. No, actually, I think Texas Southern or Jackson State can jump up and bump.
Well, Texas Southern's in there.
Okay.
So Alabama A&M is falling out. There's only one that's fall.
Okay.
Alabama A&M. It's not on the screen up there. Alabama A&M is falling out. So it's with Jackson State is basically 7. Howard is 6. So of those two, which one you jumping in, or would you jump in?
Jackson State. Yeah.
Based
All
on
right,
the
and like
win.
you knew he wasn't gonna say Jackson State.
I think you can make the argument.
Yeah,
either way.
you can make the.
No, you can make. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
make the
just
argument.
curious at
though.
this point. With that, let's take our next break and come back on the other side and talk about the men's top 5 and see what you think's on that.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot.
Shot that might be. It could be.
Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Are you hungry for
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
The HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. We're here inside the arena here at the Gateway Convention Center for the 2025 SWAC Basketball Tournament. We ended last segment talking about the women's top 5. So we're going to jump in here and talk about the men's top 5 for this week. Hadn't had a chance to have you see it. So I'm going to read out for you. And we have it up here now. Bethune-Cookman at 5. 4 is Norfolk State. 3 is Jackson State. South Carolina State and Southern. Bethune-Cookman is still alive. Norfolk State is still alive. In fact, Norfolk State has made it to the semifinals. Jackson State still alive, and they've moved to the semifinals. South Carolina State Bulldogs have moved to the semifinals. Southern Jaguars were formerly number 1. Interesting to see if you think they're going to stay number 1. Do they fall? How far did they fall? And let's start it there. Let me give you those outside. Texas Southern is outside, but they lost today. Alabama State Hornets, they're outside at number 7. They won today. In fact, they beat Texas Southern, so they made their case. Alcorn is right behind them, and they play tonight against Bethune-Cookman, which we said is at number 5. So it can get real interesting this week. But what we know so far, I'm going to start with you, Charles. How far does Southern fall, and do they fall, particularly with it being their first game quarterfinal? They didn't win one in turn.
First round knockout, they could fall. First round knockout.
Yeah, you don't have to say that with glee on your face. I'm gonna tell your friend Carlos.
I know, right? I can see the Jaguars falling to 5 easy, because you're gonna have you're gonna have.
You do keep them in the top 5. Though.
Yeah, I gotta keep them in the top 5. They're regular season champions. I'm not gonna keep them out the top 5.
So does Bethune-Cookman have to win tonight to stay in the top 5?
It would help. Yes, it would. But the interesting thing is, Alcorn sitting just outside. If Alcorn wins, it's going to catapult them into the top 5.
Right, where they fall out.
Yeah.
And you still might drop Southern behind Alcorn.
Yeah.
Right, just depending on what. I got to go to you. You heard what Charles said in his framework. Does Southern fall? If they fall, how far do you have a fall?
Well, I'll start off with this. Right now, as of today, next week, I'll put the MEAC winner as the number 1 team in the poll with Southern lose. So I said,
MEAC winner. I can see that
winner. I put the MEAC winner as the number 1 team,
especially if it's South Carolina State or Norfolk. They got a little play, but I like that. If it is South Norfolk, I think that's very fair.
Right.
In that.
And with the SWAC winner, probably.
And if either one of those teams are the one winning, I can see that very good.
Right.
All right.
But right now, like I say, just And
So how far do you have Southern fallen? That's the big question.
Baby,
everybody knows they fall, but how far?
Definitely, if we have a Norfolk, South Carolina State final, they are definitely number 4 because you cannot put them ahead of whoever the eventual SWAC champion is.
That's right.
So at minimum, I have them. At maximum, I have them at 4, maybe 5, depending on who the second SWAC semifinal, the SWAC finalist is. So that's just right now. We still 2 days out. We got data. We got 5 teams alive still in the SWAC. So, if Bethune wins, Southern falls behind Bethune no matter what. If Alcorn wins, Southern has a chance to stay ahead of Alcorn should Alcorn lose tomorrow.
Charles, I was going to ask you, do you agree with all that?
Well,
you were shaking your head at first, then you kind of paused. I want to know, where you going?
My mind was racing like, wait a second. Southern becomes a great candidate for the BCS, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge.
Yeah.
Huge. That was my follow-up question. If you can get Southern,
absolutely.
In terms of that, and it's good for Southern to still play for something and make a statement. One, to close out a season potentially on a winning note.
Yeah.
You didn't get your big prize, but now you got to play for something else, a BCS tournament. And if you're in the rankings, you push yourself back up in the mark instead of your last statement being a first quarterfinal exit.
You always said trophies matter. So to be able to play for trophy, take a trophy back home, that matters.
I was about to ask Doc whether or not, if say Southern goes to that and either wins or gets to the championship game.
I think that's huge. That puts them back. And depending on how Norfolk State and South Carolina State finish, and they make their run, let's say that one of those get an opening round game, how do they play in that opening round game?
You give me a win by either one of those teams in a first 4 game, then I still have to keep that team ahead of Southern.
Let's set it up like this. Let's say Norfolk State or South Carolina State, they win. They win the tournament, right? And they go to the first round, but you have a Southern matchup with the loser of that for a championship.
I still go with
and the winner of that loses in the opening round.
I'm sorry, if they're in that first 4 in Dayton and win that first 4 round in Dayton.
I'm saying if they lose. I agree with you. If they win, it's kind of automatic.
Right. But if
it doesn't matter with the other folks. But now if they lose, I think it opens it back up. And you got the caveat. Let's say it is Southern that goes. Let's say it's Norfolk or South Carolina State that goes. And they clash off in a final game. So you got one of the teams. You got both of the teams that won or got a share of a regular season championship. The MEAC teams played for a tournament championship. They lost, and then they went. They lost, so they go right. And so you see what I'm saying?
I got your answer. In the BCIC, if you have 2 conferences playing for the 2 people from the same conference, 2 SWAC teams or 2 MEAC teams playing for the BCIC championship, then I'm probably going to lean towards that team ultimately being my champion.
It could get interesting. Charles, I got to ask you before we take this next break and then do our last segment to close out things in terms of your prediction of this game and how it looks. We'll do that as we close. But with that being said, I asked you that question. Same one. Norfolk, South Carolina State play for a championship. One of those teams loses. The other team goes to the Black College Invitational Championship. They win the first round game. They get to a final. They're playing Southern for a final. We're just matching up. It's all thought process. However, the team that won the MEAC championship loses in the opening round. What is your argument for a championship?
I have to go with the team that gets to the opening round and loses. For now. You
got to watch the games and how it plays.
It might change.
Yeah. I love it. Put a caveat. Let's go to our next break. We'll come back to the other side to have an abbreviated show because we do have to be off the air before things. But we wanted to give you some updates, and give you some fun talk, some fun dialogue of why these things become important. It's not just how teams play, how coaches are doing their stuff. What does it look like in terms of champions, top 5 finishes? As you said, trophies matter. What does that look like at every level? I think this is where it gets really fun. We'll take our next break and come back on the other side.
At Automasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Inside the HBCU Sports, boy, what goes down in the breaks must stay in the breaks. What goes down in Atlanta stays in Atlanta. Yes. With that being said, we hard like we from the streets. We no tail.
Right, exactly.
With that being said, let's get into this matchup. Before I do this, hey, Howard is hard to kill the king. Howard is snuck back. They were down 15. It's 1 minute left, 89-87. Morgan still winning. Down to 30 seconds left, and it is interesting, Auburn. I'll keep you up. But as we talk about this, I want to ask you a little bit about this matchup. Auckland State, Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman has finished strong. The Braves are always tough defensively. Where are you going in this matchup? What are you looking for? And what do you tell the fans to focus on before we get into this?
Take my FAMU bias out of this.
Yeah, please do. You are a professional. I've seen you do it.
We want everybody to lose.
Alcorn has been the hunted for the last couple of years now. They are the hunters.
Yep.
Sometimes you realize that all the success you have in the regular season, winning regular season titles, are no good without coming home with the championship. So maybe they let their foot off the gas, knowing that they need to prepare for the sprint. I'm going with Alcorn State just based upon the fact of the experience. And correct me if I'm wrong, Reggie Theus has only been here one time previously.
Yep.
So I'm going with Alcorn based upon the experience, based upon that hunger of having, especially those first round losses that they've had. I think they've learned from those.
A couple of years ago, they made it to a championship and lost to Texas Southern. Texas Southern was just a buzzsaw through this tournament. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this?
That being said, you're right. Alcorn, tough out, play tremendous defense. But I got to go with Reggie Theus. I got to go with Bethune-Cookman. I think Trey Thomas is the guy one of the guys that I said in this tournament you got to pay attention to. He's one of those guys, once he sees a couple of jumpers fall, he's just like Deshaun Ruffin. They become real difficult combo guards because they get in the lane. They create a lot of havoc, and they create the more they're able to get in the lane and kick it out. That's what Bethune-Cookman gets really, really dangerous. They rebound the basketball. They play good enough defense.
GED.
I think they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out for anybody. They were my kind of sneaky pick to go all the way.
Man, y'all won't believe this. Howard actually took the lead 90-89, and then they came back and final with Morgan State getting the win at the buzzer, essentially winning 91-90. Crazy game. Howard went up with 16 seconds left, 90-89. Morgan State gets the bucket to get it going on. So that is wild how you'd have it. To your point, though, it sets up for a matchup. If Alcorn can find a way to get out of here, it sets up a Mississippi semifinal, which, like you said, will get things really interesting. So it's fascinating so much. I love this time of the year. while going on as we count down the clock to tip off. It's fascinating as they're warming up, getting ready to do our part. Let me talk a little bit more. You got this North Carolina Central Delaware State matchup coming up. Coach Moulton oftentimes finds his magic in the tournament, but Delaware State is uprise, coming up type of program. They really played well, if you would, coming down the stretch, getting some big wins. Any thoughts in terms of the Delaware State North Carolina Central matchup?
I got to go with the steady presence of North Carolina Central. I know Delaware State has done quite a bit, coming into the tournament, but go ahead and give me Mouton going into this.
Chalk is no longer used in the education system, so I'm going with the dry erase board. I'm dry erase at Delaware State because I'm seeing all these upsets. Why not? I ain't got nothing to lose. My bracket's already going to crap. Why not?
Go with the Hornets.
Yep. So Morgan State scored driving from the outside down the lane. Kind of throws a little hoop shot, falls in the bucket. Did it with about 11 seconds left. And Howard cannot get a shot to go at the buzzer. So Morgan State is moving on.
Howard knocked out. Another candidate for the
spring break. Spring break.
Hey, that's baseball. Oh, no baseball. Ooh, ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Spring break. Spring break.
That y'all all right. That's all right.
Spring break.
Last thing is you do have the women's final matchup now in the SWAC. So I want to ask you in terms of what are your thoughts of those two matchups as we close it up here. Friday, you have Alcorn at Texas versus Texas Southern. That is the 11 o'clock early game, so it'll be interesting to see can they get lathered up and get going. And then the late game is that old rivalry that a lot of folks know goes back pretty far in the SWAC as well, Jackson State and Southern. So that's going to be a good one.
Rock 'em, sock 'em.
So I'll let you give me your thoughts on those two matchups, semifinal-wise.
Oh, yeah, I think Jackson State Southern, that's going to be a fun one. Both teams, to me, are really similar. Ken Dilworth get up and going in that game, and that's net. I think that was the star player that nobody saw really taking over this game for Jackson State getting into the semis. But the early game, that's going to be a good one. Can Texas Southern control Destiny Brown? I think that's going to be huge. But I got Texas Southern to win that one.
Your thoughts on that?
I'm going Oppo on that, Charles, especially if the same Destiny Brown who showed up today shows up tomorrow. Yeah. And then along with Texas Southern started to become a victim of attrition down there. You might be able to stick through that opening round game.
Yeah.
Those injuries are going to start plaguing on, and even should Texas Southern come out of it, there's no way that I'm picking them over anybody coming out that Southern Jackson State game.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this Morgan State Norfolk State semifinals tomorrow. The first early game in the MEAC, Morgan State, Norfolk State.
That's on the women's side.
That's the men. I'm sorry.
All right.
Norfolk State.
Ditto.
I'm surprised that y'all think Norfolk State, because to me, Norfolk State hasn't been their same team. I know generally you're right, but maybe it's, to your point, it's tournament time and Norfolk gets right.
Flip the switch.
and Morgan will Morgan.
Any thoughts on either a North Carolina Central, South Carolina State game in terms of what will go down in that matchup? Or
give me the hot team. I got to go with South Carolina State.
Regardless of who comes out of this game tonight, yeah. you going with South Carolina State.
I tend to agree with my colleague over here.
It's something that's about the tournament. Your first time going deep, though, it makes me a little nervous in the tournament, even though you're the better team, particularly if it's North Carolina Central, I should say. Maybe not so much if it's Delaware State, because they hadn't had the same experience, even though Delaware made that run last year.
Two things. Number one, this is not your daddy's North Carolina Central team anymore. And number two,
that's true.
Sometimes you so young and excuse the expression, you're too dumb to realize you're not supposed to be here, so you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean that's not dumb at all. It's where you think about in terms of what you look at. They're about to call the teams out. So, any final thoughts from you, Drew?
Hey, just make sure you have your chargers and your external chargers and all your cords and everything. You're watching all these games tomorrow. Because you're probably going to get about 14 hours of action tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And that's before you go back and replay something.
Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, great action today. A lot of upsets. It's always a fun tournament when you get some upsets going.
Yeah, he loved those upsets. You and Brian talking about chaos. I wasn't sure if he was happy about the chaos the other day, though. But anyway,
know, right?
thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab, and that'll be essentially who won the tournament, what do the poll changes. Y'all gave us some early indications of where you're going. We'll see if that plays out that way. With that being said, thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports, with Inside the Lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, cast the other characters, Brian Fulford, Roy in the background, mixing it up and making sure we get a chance to give you updates through those games. So make sure you continue to tune in. We'll thank you as we'll go down the stretch tomorrow, setting you up with the semifinals. We'll be in there and give you some post-game actions, but we won't bring back anything. This is our last of the day, live stream today. So appreciate being able to bring the lab to you. But we will give you that. Make sure you check out the game as things are fast and furious. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watts, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's on Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles,
Of course.
AD,
lecture.
you out with the professors. Dismiss.